friend, it's Dirk. In this lesson, let's talk about how we can create customized UITableView cell. After this training, you are going to have a table view that looks like this. We have a beautiful image of the Apple product on the left, and then we have the title, the description of the product right below the title. That is how you do it. We are going to take you to three simple steps to do this stuff. So let's go ahead into the demo. If you haven't downloaded the Start project yet, please do it now. If you haven't downloaded the resources, the images, everything like that, do it now. I see you in the lesson. Alright, bust out your Xcode and let's get started. The UI for our app will look something like this after this training. But we don't have this like section header over here. That will be in the next lesson. So next lesson we'll have those into different sections, into different categories. Now we'll take care of like one category, and then we'll put in the beautiful design. We'll have the image, we'll have the title, and some description of the product. Right? So let's do this. How can you create customized table view cell? Several steps. Step number one is, let me have over here. Step number one, we design the new cell in Storyboard. Storyboard like this, if you use Storyboard. And step number two, we create a subclass of UITableViewCell. TableViewCell for the new cell. And then you update that cells. Step number three, you update the cells with your UITableView data source. So 3 steps, very simple. Let's head right out. Step number one, design your new cell in Storyboard. So I'm in, oh by the way, let's categorize our project files a little bit because we are going to use a lot of files here. Number one, let's delete this view controller. We don't need that. Move to trash. And let's put this product TableView controller into a new group from selections, and let's have this as the controllers. Right? And then let's put this main.storyboard into our category for views. Pretty good. Okay, click into the main.storyboard, and now let's design our cells. Number one, to design this, let's change that the type of this TableView cells. By the way, I cannot select this. For some reason, it doesn't show up. Okay, so this might be a bug in Xcode. So let me open it up here and open this guy. Okay, here we go. It still didn't show up for some reason. We have this, but we don't have that. Let's click into main.storyboard. Here we go. I think that because I still select this views. Okay, so main.storyboard. Let's select that guy. Now step number one, select into your prototyped cells. And then over the style, instead of using basic, you can use custom. Now I want to show you that we have other options too. We have right detail, which is having that details text here. Left details, which is like your contact app. We have the subtitle, which is like that, right? Here I want to use custom. And then you will see that we have other things like the accessory of a cell. We can have disclosure indicator, which is this guy, this little icon. And the detail disclosure, we have that I button. We have the check mark. That's really cool for some app. We have the detail. We have that, right? So let's use none because we want to design our own. So what is the things in here? We need an image, we need a label that is quite bold text, and we need the details text, right? So let's have that. Let's drag this thing down like this. Cool? So you can drag down the handle like that. And then I'm going to drag out an UI image to the screen from our object palette, UI image. And let's make this image, how about like 64 by 64 point. Like that. And then let's make this 12 point to the top. And by the way that I have that ruler tool is I hold the option key, select into the image, hold the option key, and then hover in the neighbor views. So here, and then let's move down, hold the arrow key, 12 to the top and 12 to the left, like that. Cool? Okay. And then let's have another one. Let's have a label. I will search for a label. Drag that label to the screen like this. Double click. Let's have this, the product title label, like this. Okay. Let's duplicate this guy too, and then move it right down below here, like this. And I want to make sure that we have this guy. Okay, let's zoom in like this. We have this label. It's around like 2 points to the top, and then 8 points to the left. And then we'll want to change this. How about like iPad Pro? Pro is an amazing tablet that works really well with the with the Apple Pencil, that you can draw something really cool on. Just some text, so that we have a lot of text. Okay, and then you see that it is way over the edge because there's a lot of text here. So all you have to do is goes over here, make it 12 to the right. So it is now 8. We have to -4 with the width, right? 12, and then drag this thing down. Let's drag it down like this. Okay, it is. Let's make that 12 point to the bottom. But now you see that it has only one line because we set it as one line by default. So all you have to do is click into this label, goes over the attribute inspector, and then there will be the number of lines over here for us. If you put it as 2, it will show 2. If you put it as 3, it will show 3. But if you want to have like unlimited number of lines, put it as 0s. Then you have unlimited number of lines. Cool? Okay, now let's do auto layout for this table view cells. That's step number 2 in this. Oh, by the way, I want to have this text over here. The font, let's use in the style system. But instead of the system, I want to use something like the headline, right? Because it is quite bold. It is kind of like the title, headline. Now it is squeezed down like this, so let's drag it like that. And then this guy is more of like the body. So the font, let's use body. Okay, and done. Cool. Okay, now let's use auto layout for this guy. Number 1, this image, I'm going to use the pin menu here. And then this pin menu, let me put it over here so you can see it better. Okay, so this pin menu, let's use that, uncheck the constraint margin, 12 to the top, 12 to the left, like this. And then I want to maintain the width and height, so let's make the width and height at the 4 constraint. Boom, everything is nicely done. Cool. Next thing, let's have this label right here. So I'm going to select the label, the pin menu again, uncheck the constraint margin, top, left, and right, and add the 4 constraint. Cool. Oh, by the way, oh gosh, I think I just make a mistake because I don't want to have this right constraint of like 112. I want it to be 12, right? We only want it to be 12. So we can change it into 12. You can just select this guy, select the constraint by select the label, select that constraint. Be really careful with that because it's hard to do. And then change the constant into 12, like that. Cool. Okay, the last one is this label right here. So let's do that label. The pin menu again, left, right, and the bottom. Let's use 12. I want it 12 to add the constraint like that. Pretty cool. And I think that we need the top too, so use that, uncheck constraint margin. Let's do the top to our not good content view, but let's make that 2 point to the top. So we need that top here. Move it down a little bit, okay, 2 point, and then we're going to hold the control key, drag from this label to this label, release it, and having the vertical spacing like that. Okay. Okay, did you do it? All right. Now you see that we have a bunch of what is that? A bunch of red lines like this. it means that there is something wrong with our auto layout. What's the problem here? The problem is, if you click into this thing, it says two views are vertically ambiguous. And when you click into that, and it says these two views, right? These two views. And if you see over here, click into this, it says like iPad Pro, those kind of things, right? It says set vertically, hugging priority, those kind of stuff. What's the problem here? Now the problem here is that auto layout doesn't know which label to size down or up if the text here is too big. So the label with auto layout, right? It only has this much height space for this cells. For this cells, it only has this much height, right? And it says, if in the case of, like, for example, this label or this label is too big, then these two cells, these two labels right here is going to fight against each other to see which label should I shrink down, which label should I grow up. Makes sense? So that's why we have to set something we call priority in auto layout. Now, the priority, we have a bunch of priorities in auto layout. So you can select this second label right here or the first label, and then the size inspector, and then scroll down, you'll see there's a content hugging priority. Let me scroll up like this, you can scroll. Content hugging priority. So the content hugging priority, it means is that if the space is really small, do you want to like hug your content more? So imagine that the hug here, it means like if you have kind of like a rope around your views, around this label, it has the views, right? If this hugging priority is bigger, then that rope is going to squeeze in more. It's going to hug more, so that the height or the width of this view will not grow as much. Okay? And the same for, there's another priority called content compression resistance priority. The content compression resistance priority is that how much do you want to resist the compression of the auto layout. I know there's a bunch of big words. All it means is that if there is like too little space, if this priority is really big, then you don't want to compress. You don't want to be shrink down. Okay, and this one is like you want to shrink down more. This one is you don't want to shrink down. Okay, this one is you want to shrink down more. This one you don't want to shrink down more. That's why the resistance. Okay, so now, because it is finding for the vertical space, right? So we want to make sure that, how about this detail label is not as important as the title. So we say is that, okay, I want this guy to hug more vertically, so that like if there's too much space, this guy will be the guys who shrink down. Okay, and then the compression resistance. I will not this label right here, the second label, I will not resist the compression, the shrink down as much as this label. So I'm going to put the vertical as lower than that. Okay, because by default, each of the views has 2.51 and 700 and like this. Okay, 750. So we minus 1 and increase 1 for this one. Again, this means, I know for some of you it is basic, but a lot of people I know that is like, for me when I learn about this stuff, it's just like confusing. So only means here is that vertically, I want to shrink down more. That's why I increase the hugging priority vertically greater than this one, 251 versus 250. And then I don't want to resist against the shrinking down, the compression as much. So I resist 749, and this thing I resist bigger. So it means that this thing will not shrink down. That's all it means. Okay? So that's all it means. But now, pay attention. Is that because we want this guy to have unlimited number of lines. That's why later on in our code, you see that we are going to set the table view height of each of the row. We'll have something we call dynamic table view cell height. Okay, you see that this line, this cell is much higher than this cell, and is much higher than this cell, right? So it has like different cell height. Cool? Okay, so that's step number 1 is done. We have designed the cell, new cells in storyboard, done. Number 2, we have to create a subclass of UITableViewCell for the new cells. So I'm going to, because the UITableViewCell is a subclass of UIView, so I'm going to right click into the views, create a new file. It belongs to the views group. Go attach class, a subclass of UITableViewCells, and then let's name this guy product TableViewCells. And then next, TableViewCell, not cells. Okay. Here we go. And then we have to assign this cell right here. Okay, assign this cell to be having a custom class of that new cells. So here we use product TableViewCells. TableViewCell. Okay. Next thing, let's open up the assistant editor for that cells. So here I'm going to hold the Option key, click into this product TableViewCell, and we have that product TableViewCell on the left. You see that? Okay. Now our job is we have to connect the IB outlet and IB action of all the UI elements from this guy to this cell. So I'm going to delete on this guy. We don't need that because we use storyboard. And then hold the Option key. I'm sorry. Hold the Control key. Control drag from this image to this guy, and let's name this guy, what is that? Product image view. Product image view, like this. Connect that, and this is the same for this guy. Product title view label. Product title label, like this. And then this guy too. So next, product description label, like this. Right, we connect that, and boom. All the outlets are connected. That is awesome. Okay, so let's go back into our standard editor right here, like this. Now, the next step, you see that all of these things that I'm walking you through here is very standard procedural for when you want to create any custom TableView cell. So from now on, whenever you have that, except that you do it in code, then you don't have these outlets, right? You will create all the variables and then you write the code to put those views on your custom cells. But here we use the storyboard, so it will be generated for us like that. Okay. So now the next step is we need to talk about what is the data model of this thing, of this product TableView cell. What is the data model? What is it? What does it trying to display? What is it trying to display? This cell. Yeah, it's trying to display the product. A product, right? So all we want to do is we want to have a variable called product of type product. And because it can be nil, so I'm going to use optional like this. Cool. And then we use something we call a property observer. And whenever this guy gets set, now it can be set by our controller. Later on, I'm going to show in just a moment. I'm going to show you how to set this product. Cool. So whenever this product gets set, I'm going to call a method called self.updateUI for this class. And then let's have that function method self.updateUI like this. Cool. All right. Updates UI. Now our job here is whenever we call this update UI, we are going to set all the properties for these outlets from this data model, from the product. So we are going to do product image view dot image to be what? Our product dot image. We have the image. And here I use optional training here. Okay, and this thing let's use optional training too. And then we have product title label dot text to be the product dot what is that title? right? And then we have the product description label dot text, and let's use optional training here, equals to product dot description, and we have it. See that? Now that is step number 2. It's all done. Okay, so step number 2, it is done now. Step number 3, we need to update the cell with our UITableView data source. So what it means is that we need to give that cells, this cells right here, selected cells, an identifier. But because we already used the previous cells, right, the default cells, and we just changed design, it has the identifier we already set is the product cells. So here, let's go back into the product TableView controller, like this, and then scroll down into the cell for row and index path, like this. And now, when you dequeue these cells with the identifier product cells, the exact identifier for this cell, right? It is going to, okay, the TableView controller is going to your storyboard. It looks for a cell, a prototype cell with the identifier of product cell, which is this guy. And then it's going to create that cells from what? From this class. From this class. And then it is assigned to this cell. Okay, let me repeat the whole process for you so it makes better sense for you. Okay, so number 1, when you call, okay, let me open up that main storyboard on the right. You don't have to do it along with me. When you call the TableView.dequeue reusable cell with identifier for this index path, right? So it's going to look at the identifier, and then it goes to the main storyboard because we are using storyboard. And then it looks for a cell with that identifier. And it looks for a bunch of cells here because, again, we don't talk about that in this course, but in other courses that we have for you in like Total iOS Blueprint or Socialize Your Apps, you see that we can use different cell prototype cells. So it looks for a cell with the prototype of product cell. And then when you find it, oh, okay, here we go, we find this. And then it will generate a UITableView cell. But because this thing, the custom class is this product TableView cell, it will generate that guy. Make sense? Now what we have here is a UITableView cell. But because we know that the custom class of this is a is a product TableView cell, we're going to cast it down as a product TableView cell, like this. Cool? So we cast it down as a product TableView cells because we know that it is a product TableView cell. We set it ourselves, right? Now, several things to note here. Number 1, if you don't have this product cell identifier set correctly, then the identifier is not set correctly, your app will crash. Next, if you don't have the custom class here set correctly into here, your app will also crash because this thing is a UITableView cell or any other cells subclass. If you have it cast down incorrectly, it will crash. But here is like a good crash that we want to know because it affects our UI. And it is like, we know that it must be like that. If it is not like that, then we do something wrong that we don't want to ship. We don't want to overcome that stupid crash. Okay, that is a good crash. Okay, now go back into here. Now we have this cell as the product TableView cell. And we got the product here. All we have to do now is not this line, but rather, because this cell is a product TableView cell. And we know that inside our custom class for the cell, a product TableView cell has a public API, which is a product like this. We can set that product for the cell. So we can have cell.product to be our product. Here we go. You see that? Now, when you run the app, let's build and run the app and see how it looks like. This is the app so far. Build and run it. Okay. Here we go. See that? Nicely done, my friend. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, several things I want to do though. Number one, you see the images. It's distorted, right? So let's change that image. So here, over here, the main storyboard, click into the image. You can change that into the image property here. Change the content mode into aspect fit. So now you run it once again. Again, I changed the UI image here, UI image view with the content mode into aspect fit so that it fit our images. We don't want it to fill because the images of the product, we want it to be exact. Cool. And the second thing we want to do, is you see this like line separator, this separator of each of the cells that's built into our TableView. But I want this guy to be exactly the space for these text, right? So if you look at this guy, this label or this label, the left space is 84 points. 84 points. So when you select into the cells here, select the cell, and then you see that we have the separator of the cells in the attributes inspector, and then we can change the custom inset. The left, let's make that 84 point. Cool. And then let's make the right is 12, like that. Let's run the app once again and see how it looks like. Here we go. And you see that, for example, these two, it looks much better, right? Okay, so that is that. Now, several other things. You see that these, okay, the title looks good, but the description, it's all 3 points. Why is that? And this thing like 2 points, and so this title, it's jumped right into the middle, because it takes more space auto layout wise than the description, right? But this thing, it cuts out our text, this thing too. What we want to do, pay really close attention, because I know that a lot of you may have some problem with auto layout and your cells look crappy right now. It's because your auto layout is set incorrectly. So what I want you to do is that if you have that cell just like looks distorted, doesn't look good, what you can do is download the complete project right below this video. Again, you have to access the course first. So click the link on this page, create a free account, and then you can access the whole course, and then download the starter project. The complete project. Look at all the layout I did. Okay, that's step number one. Number two, we want to have dynamic table view cell height. The way you do that is in your product TableView controller. In the view that load here, we're going to do is called TableView. Now, where is that TableView property comes from? Because this product's TableView controller is a subclass of UITableView controller. If you hold Control key, click into that UITableView controller, you will see that it has a property. The root view of this UITableView controller is going to be a table view, UITableView. Okay, so normally you have like in any view controller you have the view, right? But here it is a table view, and then you can set dot estimated row height to be something. Okay, to be something here, and then we want to do TableView dot row height to be UITableView automatic dimension like this, because I do an error here, so it doesn't suggest. So what I want to do is having a UITableView automatic dimension. What we says here is that, hey, TableView, I want the row height of this TableView to be automatic dimension, meaning that dynamic TableView height. It will grow or shrink depending on the properties that I tell AutoLayout in the storyboard or in your code. Okay, but now TableView will need us to help it out a little bit. That hey, I know that you want to have like a dynamic TableView height, but can you help me out by setting an estimated row height for me? So a good way to do this is you can just do TableView.row height. Just like this, but we said that before. So this TableView.row height, when we set it, is going to be the standard, was that the default row height of this TableView cell from the storyboard. Cool. So now, when we run the app, let's run it once again. Here we go. We have the app, and boom, we have a beautiful table view with different cells, with a customized table view cell. Alright, I hope that you enjoyed this demo. It's been like a lot, isn't it? So just recap 3 steps over here. Number 1 is that before we design the cell, just remember your design. It's very important. Do not go into a project and you just like just messing around with it. Have a design in mind so that whenever you go into Xcode, you go into storyboard, and you go into your code, that you write the code for the views, you just like go and do it. There's no customization, there's no figuring out the distance, the size, and those kind of things. So step number 1 is you have to design the cells in your storyboard. Number 2, you create a custom class of UITableViewCell. It is subclassing UITableViewCell, and then you have the outlets, the actions, and then you have the model. When the model is set, you're going to change the properties of the outlet. Remember that? Awesome. Number 3, in your UITableViewCell, cell for row and index path method, which is the method of the UITableView data source. And in that, you are going to implement that. You give it the model, and when the model is set, the product, right? Remember, the property is set, then all the properties of the cell in the storyboard will be set immediately. So that is the 3 steps. Simple, but I know it's kind of a process and it's new, so we're going to do that a lot in this course. So I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. And again, if you would love to dive deeper in this process with me, if you would love more advanced iOS development training, just check out Total iOS Blueprint. Inside the program, I built 11 iOS apps with you together. We'll build together just like this. I have me in front of the camera with demo, Xcode, step-by-step tutorial like that with you. And even better, because it is a course, like a big giant program, we're going to have code challenges, we're going to have resources and coaching with you, and we'll have live videos with you. So just check it out if you love to go even the next level of programming and building apps with me. Things like downloading data from the web, things like REST API and JSON and MapKit and core location, current location, GPS, those kind of things that we don't have the chance to talk about in this course. So I hope that you check it out. Until then, I see you in the next lesson. We'll talk about multiple sections in TableView. Multiple sections in TableView. That is going to be fun. So let's go ahead, check out Total iOS Blueprint. I see you in the next lesson.